On this episode of Game Shack, there's finally a new competitor for the home arcade space, but are they going to be any good? We have some new footage for the new Alice Goes to Wonderland pinball, some of it good, some of it bad. And there's a big announcement from Restoration Games about a new expansion for Return to Dark Tower. All that and more coming up next. Hey everybody, welcome on back into the Game Shack. I'm your host, JDV for Evil Genius Entertainment. Thanks for stopping by. You know, I was getting ready to record an episode talking about how Arcade1up was going to be the company of the year for home arcades, just because nobody else was going to do anything. And just as I was sitting down to record that episode, Basic Fun releases their two new cabs, WrestleFest and Centipede, which is essentially a retread of that Atari 50th cab. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. And then Alice Goes to Wonderland got some new footage in terms of how it's going to be packed and how the game field is going to be, how it's going to look. And so they're almost to the very final step for that company. So we actually should be seeing some pins from them within a month, maybe 2 months at the latest. So some exciting news for your game room. We talk real quickly about Return to Dark Tower. I love that game. I've done a few videos on it. In fact, I just did one a couple of weeks ago. It really is a fantastic game. It's not cheap. And if you don't like board games or fantasy type themed games, then obviously it's not for you. But if you do like that kind of thing and you like playing D&D but you don't have a DM, it's a great way to play a D&D themed one-shot. And one of the things I talked about in that last video was the fact that it was essentially a one-shot D&D campaign. You played it one time and then that was it. And it looks like they might be addressing that with this new expansion, and so that you could carry over from game to game and keep your powers and keep the character that you build throughout your first game into the second game, etc., etc. Anyway, any new expansion from Restoration Games for any product really is worth taking a look at if you dig board games, and particularly for Return to Dark Tower. I'll have a link down below to their new Kickstarter, which is already funded, so we already know it's going to happen. I think they're already 150,000 past their $400,000 goal. Don't quote me on that. But anyway, I'm going to absolutely be putting my money in for that. If you were looking for anything Dark Tower wise, now is the time to take a peek at it, and I'll have the links for that down below. In terms of home arcade stuff for your game room, we have some new footage now for Alice Goes to Wonderland, that sub $1,000 real world pinball game that I've been so excited about since they dropped their first announcement of it. And most of that video is going to show you how they're going to ship it out to you if you buy it. And unlike the at games pinball games that you can get that are essentially already pre-built in just 2 big boxes that get shipped to your door, this is much more like an Arcade1 type product where it is completely flat packed. So you have to put the boxes together. The primary box, you got to put the legs on. Of course, you had to do that anyway for the Ad Games product. But you have to build the boxes, and you have to basically build the entire machine from scratch, just the way you do for Arcade1 type products. In terms of gameplay, they didn't show us much, but what they did show was good. The playfield looks fantastic. It always has looked great. It's a beautiful looking pinball game. But now everything apparently is working. The DMD is working, the back bumpers are working. Everything that you would want to work is now working. So that is exciting news as well. Now, how well does this game play? Is it actually any kind of a decent pin? I won't know until I get my hot little hands on it, but it is a very good step forward, and that company has been making absolutely linear progress just the way you'd want and expect them to make. All right, so if you are interested in that Alice Goes to Wonderland pinball game, it will be at the Chicago Pinball Fest, which is now right around the corner. So if you want to go and see it, they will have it there. I think they're teasing the fact that they might have some new skins available, or at least previewed there. So anyway, it's a very positive step for that company. We ought to be seeing these pins before Christmas. I think that's very possible now. I had my doubts before that video dropped, but if they are now got it to the point where they can flat pack it and get it to you in your hot little hands so you can put it together and play, that's looking a lot more believable. Maybe we'll get those before Christmas. Last thing I want to talk about is, of course, that basic fun home arcade cab. Now, there's some things that you have to know right off the bat. One, it's essentially, these are retreads of Arcade1up style designs. They're about 51 inches, 52 inches, something like that. So just over 5 feet tall. So basically what you'd get in a normal non-XL Arcade1up. Now, I don't believe Arcade1up ever put out a WrestleFest themed cab, so I guess technically it's some new cab in that regard. I'm not sure if they've released the characters or if they'll be able to upgrade the characters as time goes on, but they have announced that the Centipede cab / Atari cab will have a bunch of unlockable games, I think 40. So that puts it right around the same kind of cab that we had in the Atari 50th cab, which was a beautiful cab, and I kind of regret not buying them because I do love Atari 2600. I love Atari games generally speaking, and that was a very slick looking cab. So I am kind of disappointed they don't make that anymore, but now with this basic fun Centipede cab, you kind of can. I did want to talk a little bit about Arcade1up in terms of this. Well, their new pub table just dropped, which is pretty much just like the last pub table. Their T2, you look at pictures of it, like the gun is almost as wide as the cab itself. You know, I don't love that, but hey, they're staying above water. They are putting out some new things like that T2 cab, like the new pub table, which again ain't that new. Still, they are staying in business and they are giving themselves a chance to stay relevant as they move into 2026. A lot of us thought that that company was going to go belly up before this year was even out. So the fact that they are putting out new products that you can order right now and have delivered to your home is still a pretty cool thing. Now again, if you're already an established home arcadist, you're probably not going to be very excited with anything that Home Arcade or even really Basic Fun is putting out, and it's okay to say that. But the fact that these companies are in business, the fact that they are putting out cabs that you can actually order and have delivered to your house is all to the good, and hopefully we will see more and better exciting titles in 2026, but at least we are starting to see some change in the home arcade space because, hey, for a while it was pretty dang dead in there, right? And if you've ordered that Basic Fun cab, let us know down below. If anyone's played that, go ahead and let us know what you guys think about that cab. And are any of you guys going to pick up any of the things that I mentioned? Let's talk about it down below. I love talking to you guys down in the comment section. All right, that's going to wrap up this episode. What do you guys think? This is the first kind of really bright spot I've seen, really concrete steps are now moving forward to indicate that this is not a niche that is going to die, but maybe it just died down. All right, love each other, and until next time, I'll see you guys in the Game Shack. Mwah! All right, see you soon.
Be sure to visit evilgeniusentertainment.com for exclusive content, swag, casting call news, and much, much more.